Right, very good evening to everybody. This is Thursday, the 17th of December, and here we are with another live stream, well, it's not quite a live stream, this is a pre-recorded session that we are premiering on Thursday, the 17th, as an extra session at 6 p.m. Aristide du Plessis is joining me this evening. Aristide, welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming along.
Everyone.
And this is part of our Beethoven week, part of our Beethoven experience, celebrating the 250th anniversary of Beethoven's birth in 1770. Beethoven, once again, somewhere between the 16th and 17th, or between the 15th and 17th of December was born, somewhere between the 15th and 16th, and baptized on the 17th, I should say. So we've taken the liberty of adding an extra session for the 17th of December to carry on with this Beethoven celebration of his birth, because he's such an important part of our music and our general repertoire. As I said, this performance is being live recorded, but premiered. We're actually recording it a few days before, principally because Aristide is part of the KwaZulu-Natal Philharmonic Orchestra, and they have a very busy schedule of rehearsals and concerts. You've been very busy with the orchestra, Aristide, recently.
Yeah, I have. It's been quite difficult at times because we sometimes schedule things and then there's something comes up with COVID, or a lot of plans are very terms and conditions apply, so we've had to be rather flexible with our schedule. And but this week specifically, I think we've got it, so I'm here, and I don't think they'll call me to work now within the next 30 minutes.
No,
so,
they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, it is amazing. I think what a lot of people, we had a record or a live stream recently with the two musicians, Ralitso, and I gathered from that afterwards, a lot of people don't realize that the orchestra is actually a full-time employer. That you work there full-time, and it's a full-time job.
Yes.
It's not just a part-time thing that as musicians you're doing that, just in the evenings or whenever you can. They bring musicians, they bring orchestra members from around the world because it's a full-time job. It's a salary job. And that's why I always say it's incredible that the orchestra has brought so many wonderful musicians and also brought you back from overseas after your studies in Zurich, Switzerland, and that was a possibility for you to come back to South Africa and earn a living and have a secure job, a base to work from.
Yeah, and also to have the opportunity to do many concerts as well. And
sure.
Because it's so difficult also nowadays, I think in Europe, there's only space for a certain number of people to get all of the concerts. Of course, nowadays I think we'll have to see what happens sort of post-pandemic, how things turn out. Well, we're sitting here right now. I mean,
sure,
sort of
we're not sure.
Status quo,
Sure, we're not sure. And as I was talking to you about this the other day, what's been interesting from my point of view is that with the orchestra scene, not orchestra, but the concert circuit in South Africa, there actually have been a number of invitations which I've received to play concerts which I haven't received for many years, principally because, in fact, they know touring soloists who are visiting the country.
Yeah.
There's a whole circuit of orchestras and major concert venues which generally focus on overseas visitors, and they're sort of soloists that on tour in South Africa, and suddenly they're not able to do that. So in fact, it's opened an opportunity, a door for me to do some of that as well.
And me, I mean, with the orchestra
Absolutely.
in the last season now I played, we recorded our summer season, which will come on next year, because we're busy cooperating with the other orchestras that we don't all stream our recorded seasons at the same time to accommodate one another, which I think is a really great...
Right. That makes sense, yeah.
So I got to record two beautiful slow pieces with the orchestra, the Elegy by Fauré and the Kol Nidre. Happy Hanukkah to everybody as well, in the middle of it.
Very good.
And
those will be streamed in January.
In the summer season, January, maybe February. Also Peter Martens, wonderful South African cellist, recorded the Elgar in Cape Town. So there's been quite a bit going on in terms of that.
Sure. Francois du Toit recorded with the orchestra and Joburg.
Played Grieg, I think, yes.
Nice. Very nice. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Now, when we're recording at this very moment, there's a thunderstorm approaching, which seems very appropriate for the music we're going to play.
Yes, I was about to say this whole Sturm und Drang, and start with a bit of thunder, actually. Not lightning, but some
stormy weather.
Imagine Beethoven and his crazy hair.
Crazy. Well, someone who goes crazy with the thunder and the lightning is Frida. So you're going to see Frida is going to be with me. He's going to be at my feet for the entire performance, probably trying to climb onto my lap. She just does not like the thunder. But the thunder, we're going to play some thunder in the music. So today we are going to play for you a youthful Beethoven sonata. Beethoven wrote 2 sonatas for piano and cello. And please, I know Aristide always sort of cringes when I say that, for piano and cello. And I'll come back to that. They of Opus 5, so it's the 5th opus that Beethoven published. And they really are, I think you know more about this as a cellist, but they really are the first sort of major cello works, right? The earliest major cello works. I mean, apart from Bach suites.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're the first sort of real...
By a real major composer, one could say, definitely.
Yeah. Because before this, the cello had really been relegated to...
Bach suites, and we also have the... I can only imagine the other virtuosic sort of sonatas being Boccherini, which is also very difficult, but it's more on sort of the style of Haydn. Actually, Boccherini is sometimes called Mrs. Haydn. The way his music is so similar in its character. But yes, I mean, this is definitely the first, you could say, sort of going in the direction of the Romantic period Germanic works. This is the second one out of 2 which he wrote on a visit to Berlin. He wrote them for the King of Prussia, who was an amateur cellist. And
he must have been quite a capable musician.
I think so. I think he mostly concerned himself with music. He also commissioned lots of works, and he had 2 of the great cellists of his time at the court as well, Jean-Pierre and Jean-Louis Dupont. And these sonatas were actually more or less written with their style of playing in mind. Actually, if one listens carefully to a lot of, one could say, normal parts of the music, there's a certain French aspect to the way the music goes with the experimental early Beethoven. I don't think he'd quite refined his style yet, or he'd quite found a way to, we were talking about it the other day, or quite found a way to notate exactly what he wanted. But these 2 sonatas are a really, really interesting sort of, they're an interesting journey. It's also very interesting to practice and to work on together. It's a little bit like archaeology, sort of, finding bits and pieces and really piecing everything together. I mean, it's okay, maybe not that dramatic, but...
No, well, they're very dramatic pieces. Well, the 2 things which are very interesting for me about it is that both sonatas, the first one which is in F and the second one which we're playing in G minor or G, they're written in 2 movements, both of them, right?
Yeah,
but each one has a slow introduction.
Yes,
so there's
basically 3.
Exactly, and maybe that's also part of the French influence, what they call a French overture style. This very slow introduction into a fast movement, and then the second movement itself is it's jokey, jovial, ebullient.
Yes,
it's
my
word of the day, I think.
Completely different. It sounds like it's a completely written in a completely different time period.
Different frame, So it's 2 completely different moods.
Yeah.
And then to come back to so this is what I find so interesting. Beethoven writes in the music, it's written there in his manuscript, sonatas for piano and cello. Not for cello and piano, but for piano and cello, which again comes back to this idea, as I was saying, that many times, or much of the music before this, the cello was often relegated to an accompanying bass line that really comes from, and even in the trios of Haydn and Mozart, the cello is often doubling the bass line of the piano, whereas here Beethoven is liberating it. But even in the title, he's still saying, I'm the pianist, this is a sonata with the cello in it.
In essence, they are really still very much piano sonatas because of their difficulty and their writing, and of course the similarity to his other piano works at the same time. But one can say that about almost every cello sonata, I think that they write piano and cello. I don't think anybody hasn't written it. I mean, yes, Beethoven wrote it, Brahms definitely wrote it.
Sure. Well, these are all pianists.
Rachmaninoff, Chopin.
Sure.
I don't know if Chopin wrote if he titled it that, but...
No, I don't think so. But I mean, these are all great pianists. Where there are pieces where it's like the piano plays umcha umcha, sort of.
Yeah.
It's not so interesting. But it just, I think it also does give a sense that so much of the bulk of the work, of the music, actually sits in the piano part. But not only that, Beethoven, we forget, we always think of Beethoven as the stormy genius and writing music when he was deaf. But he was actually, at this point, very much so, and in the early part of his career, well known as a virtuoso pianist. He was a brilliant entertainer and a brilliant pianist and a great virtuoso of the day that really amazed people because his playing was so vigorous, his playing was so strong. He would really have strong accents and strong attack in his sound, but then also he would play with this incredible depth and despair that would make people cry with sorrow and sadness. So, and then he's got the cello is such a expressive instrument.
He had really such a close relationship with the instrument. It's a pity that he didn't really write a concerto.
Sure.
I mean, one could argue, especially as a cellist or many other musicians, that the triple concerto, which I performed 5 times this year, that's including dress rehearsals with the orchestras because it still is a performance. I can definitely say that is a cello concerto. Yeah. It's a concerto for cello and violin and piano and orchestra because it's really tricky.
Yeah. Can you play a little bit of that second movement melody for us?
Sure, yeah.
That's
one of the
such a
greatest
beautiful melody.
Slow melodies that Beethoven ever composed. Something like that.
Beautiful. Yeah, gorgeous. Wonderful music. Frida liked it, didn't you, Frida? Yeah, I can hear the thunder coming. Okay, so exciting music. I mean, Beethoven, very brilliantly. I mean, it's just a very exciting. They're quite rough in a way. Not
definitely,
rough.
Definitely.
There's a sort of gruffness.
No,
there's
rough.
a very.
They're definitely rough.
There's this youthful Beethoven, full of extravagance and great broad ideas, and none of the defined linear sort of workings and distillation that goes on later in his music. It's all straightforward. Big washes of color and brilliance. And should we play it?
Yes, we should.
Should we do it? Okay. So this is the Sonata, Opus 5, number 2, the second of 5 Beethoven cello sonatas. And Opus 5, number 2 in G minor. There's a slow introduction and then going into the substantial first movement, Allegro. And the second movement's very jovial and very playful. It's a great sort of playful interaction between the two instruments and really offers great scope for both instruments to shine and play along and have a great interaction. It's very interactive music.
Yeah.
Come, Fritz. Aristide. Fantastic. That was completely my fault, that spot. There was a place where I got lost, and I put in an extra beat and an extra bar, and then Aristide. There was a fault on an entry. It was my fault. I'm sorry. You're amazing. You don't ever make those mistakes. You always catch me, and even I started confusing you in that moment when you're trying to catch me. I'm sorry. No, it's my fault. I completely got fuddled. So that was the Sonata in G minor, the Opus 5, number 2, G minor Sonata by Ludwig van Beethoven. That is our live stream for the session on Thursday, the 17th of December. Thank you, Aristide, for amazing playing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Really lovely to play with you. Isn't that just incredible music? I mean, the young Beethoven, such exuberance and fun and laughing and, gosh, such an incredible life, such an incredible range of emotions and thoughts and ideas that he expresses in his entire life, in his entire repertoire. It is incredible when you think and you compare that to the late, because the last sonatas are Opus 102.
I don't know. Yeah, the cello.
Yeah, the cello.
102. Yeah.
102, the cello sonatas, the last two that he writes. And then, of course, the last piano sonata, Opus 111. I mean, it's a different composer, but he's experiencing such different things, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, how old is he roughly? Opus 5?
He's about 30.
30.
About 30, yeah.
Yeah. So.
My age. Well.
Yeah, my age too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that brings us to the end of this evening's session. Thanks again to Barry for the technical support on this evening's program. And if you are able to support us now, of course, once again, I'm always putting out this plea, but of course, this is now extra special stream. We have extra artists and extra costs involved. Thank you, Aristide, for coming, for traveling up for the rehearsals and for the performance from Durban. And thank you for being here. And if you are able to support us, for those of you at home who are enjoying this special presentation on the Beethoven Baptism Day, the 17th of December, then please do support us financially. You'll find all the links at our website, and there also is a QR code, which I'm sure is coming up on the screen, and that will take you off to cricket. Should we try a little improvisation to end? I always end my streams. Let's try an improvisation.
Spot, so I guess
Come on, we've got to do it. G major. Let's hit it.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us tonight, and look forward to seeing you at our next session. Look forward to seeing you again, Aristide.
Me too, yeah.
Thank you for coming today.
Off you go, and I'll join.
Well done.